So clearly mentoring is a passion of both of ours.
Yes.
We both agree that it's extremely important, that it's critical in different roles in our lives. But my question for you is something I get asked quite a bit. When do I need a mentor?
Well, my answer is always. I mean, I think
that's a definitive answer.
Well, the reason is the best leaders are lifelong learners.
Yeah.
And so just because you're not in a structured mentoring relationship doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be looking to learn from other people. So when I say always, that means I think you should always be in either an unstructured or structured relationship. Always learning from different perspectives, new skills, learning from role playing, learning from other people. I think that's the crux of mentoring, honestly, is the learning aspect to it. Now, I do think the structure of the accountability and encouragement that mentoring provides is an important part of your life, and especially if you're going through a life transition. I think those are some of the big moments. I work with a lot of organizations that they'll do it with onboarding. One of the most critical times to have a mentor, I think. If you're trying to learn a new skill, it doesn't always have to be in business. It can be at any time. When do you want to learn a skill? You find somebody who can teach that to you. It goes much faster than reading a manual, obviously. So any of those times, maybe you want to develop in an area that is a character issue that you want to work through. And that's something that takes a little bit longer, and I think it is really good to have an established mentor for that kind of a thing, because then they get to know you, you build that safety between the two of you. Personal growth or professional growth can't happen in the absence of safety, and that's where you have to decide, do I want an informal mentor or a formal mentor? Because with a formal mentoring relationship, that's where you build that trust, that's where you build that safe place to learn, to make mistakes, to take risks. And that's that point where it really is important for you to think through, okay, that's where I want to. And competency things are not as important for the safety issues, but character issues, absolutely you've got to have that safety.
Yeah. Okay, so with the framework of you should always be learning and finding mentors and growing and developing, with that framework set, can you kind of walk us through a few key points in someone's life where it's critical? So in my mind, I'm thinking, people are told in high school they need a mentor. People are told in college they need a mentor. People are told as soon as they start a career they need a mentor. Can you kind of work us through a few of those? What would that even look like?
I think when you're going through a change, and that's the key time.
Okay.
Or a time when you want to make a change in your life. That is key.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, if you want to become a better leader, great time to find a mentor. You want to, again, like I said, learn new skills, start a new job, start in a new relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all those kinds of times. And sometimes those changes are fine and you can navigate them just fine by finding informal mentors. But I think when you realize that you're getting that frustration that comes up, like the change isn't happening like you want, the growth isn't happening like you want, that's when you need that different perspective of another person to say, hey, have you thought of this? Try this. Hey, you seem stuck. How about if we set up some accountability measures so that you can do it? Personal growth is a difficult thing, and that's why that encouragement piece of mentoring is so important in a structured situation, because there are times when you're just like, oh, I can't do this. This is just too hard. And your mentor comes along and says, yes, you can. I believe in you. I've seen what you've done. I know how skilled you are in this area. I know you're tired right now, but I know you can do it. And I know when you see how things come out in the end, you're going to be so proud and so pleased.
I love that. So we have had separate conversations on how to prep to find a mentor, how to ask someone to mentor you. But this is sort of a more general question, and I just want your personal take on it. Where do you look for somebody to be a mentor to you? I mean, if you're in a work situation or a school situation that has a structure, then some of those problems are solved.
They match you up.
Yeah, but let's say I start, I'm mid-level management and I switch to a new company. They don't have mentoring. Where do I look for somebody that I can relate to, to help me transition those and have a mentor in that situation?
I think you just be very, very observant, and don't just look up the chain. Don't just look for a manager or something in your area. A lot of times it's actually more helpful to find a mentor that's not in the current area where you're working. because they not only have a different perspective, but they're also not tied to your performance as their performance, you know? They actually can care
Oh,
more
that makes
about you
sense.
as a person. So if you can do that, I think that's really important. You can also ask your friends. Sometimes people will actually look for mentors in other companies for the same reason, that they can be more open and honest and maybe work on character issues that they wouldn't be as comfortable working with somebody from
Makes
their own
sense. That
organization.
does make sense.
But it's just about being observant and noticing what somebody does well, and then being very specific about what you want to learn from that person. And then it's an easier ask if you say, hey, I've been watching you and I've seen what you do, and I would love to learn this skill. The person is much more willing to probably mentor you than if you said, will you mentor me? And then they're like, oh my gosh, what are you asking?
Yeah.
Am I committing to you for the rest of my life? And what does
Right.
this look like? But if you go up to them and say, hey, I've observed this and this. I want to learn these things from you. Are you willing to mentor me? That's a much easier ask, and then
Yeah.
you can find those mentors that you need to find.
So one of the things that I find super encouraging about this conversation is it's kind of shifting that mindset from, gosh, I have to have these characteristics to be a mentee, or I have to have these characteristics to be a mentor. I really like that idea of, you know what, you can be learning and a mentee all the time, anywhere. It's from everybody, and vice versa.
Uh-huh.
Everyone can be a mentor in some way, in some capacity. And so I think there's something freeing in that. Do you agree with
Yes,
that?
I love that. I love that you said that, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I know enough to be a mentor. How can I? But if you know what's being asked of you and you set really good expectations up front, you can learn. And I tell you, anyone can be a mentor. I mean, there's certain people that have a better personality for it. I understand. But if somebody really wants to learn a skill from you, they can observe you. You can learn, by the way, you become a better person because you learn communication and all those things as a mentor. So I would encourage people not to think that they aren't going to be a good mentee or they're not going to be a good mentor. Just try it out. Set good expectations up front, and I think it will work.
Oh, that was good.
That was really long.